Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Man Alone solo role playing game channel. I'm Man Alone, and today a little break from the Pendragon campaign. Don't worry, we'll be back soon. I was reading through book 2 today in the starter set, and lots of rules that the more I read them, the more I realize this isn't so bad. This is all coming together, and I love this phase of things. The second phase of learning a game, when you start to feel in control, you start to understand the bigger picture, because at first it's like studying for a spelling test or like an anatomy and physiology exam, or maybe like a U.S. history exam, where all you can do is memorize these things, and then it starts to come together in this coherent picture. And there's still things you just have to know, but there starts to be logic to it, or an intuitiveness where you have to understand it, and then you can generate the answers on your own. It's about having those pieces. And in a way, this is a pieces video, because it's going to be, I've entitled it the Solo Role-Playing Arsenal, but really it's things that I tend to use a lot while I'm solo role-playing. I'm very excited to make this video, and I'm even more excited to have made this video. And the reason for that is I'm not saying I just want to like get it over with. That's not a very becoming way to start a video. But I am saying that I'm looking forward to having this video uploaded, because I believe it will answer a lot of questions that I get regularly on the channel about stuff that I'm using. And instead of having to write it out every time, I could just link to this video. I'll probably write a few words and a colon, like, here, check this out. Because if I just put a link there, I don't know, that feels a bit rude. But I do recognize that having a stuff video, like here's some stuff, is a bit click farmy. I don't deny it, but I have a couple things to say in my defense. Number one, the United States was built by farmers. And so I'm no different than my great-great-great-great-grandfather, Aurelius Manalonius, who farmed parsnips. I think that he would be very proud of me, just because I'm farming clicks instead of parsnips. It's the same. It's sort of the same thing. The second thing is that I just get asked about this a lot, so there is some interest in this. And the third thing is that some people they're able to fully embody or express, or it feels like having the right stuff for some people is a way that they like to express their hobby, or like indulge their hobby. Now, there's a little bit of a fine line here, right? Because usually the message that I send, and the one that I want to send, even in this video, is like, you don't need any stuff to play. Find a game that you like. There's plenty of games on like Itch and Drive-Thru that are free or pay what you want. And you can even take a game that is not a solo game and use some tools out there, Mythic, GM Emulator. There's a variety of resources. You could take a look at any other solo game, like Ironsworn, and just apply those principles to any other game and borrow the lore and the whatever. So you need a pencil, you need some dice. Hell, you don't even need those if you can type, because that's really what I want, is for people to experience this thing that's hard to understand what it does for you until you experience it. I want people to get over that hump, and I don't want anyone feeling like, oh, I can't do this yet because I don't have the right thing. because then it can turn into one of those things that's always needing one more thing. And that is a way that we sabotage ourselves. And it's not just like solo role playing, it's with a lot of things, right? I mean, I can't tell you how many pieces of exercise equipment I've purchased in my life. And despite that, for some reason, I am not a CrossFit national champion, because having it or buying it does not equate to using it, and even using it does not equate to using it regularly. And using it regularly is, for the most part, the qualifier in this video is like things I use regularly. I just find myself reaching for them often. Some of these things I think will be quite obvious. Other things, maybe not. But I want to say, on the other hand, the message about having the right stuff that I don't always say is that for some people, and myself included, having the right stuff or having stuff you really like is a big motivator to play. Because for me, the reason I have everything set up this way is because this feels like my zone. It is like my that if you've ever read Don Juan by Carlos Castaneda, which I understand might maybe 0% true, but there's this scene in the very beginning where he makes him sit in a room and he says, I'll start your training when you can find the place in this room where you're rooted, where you have the most power. And of course, being like having that novice mindset of, this is ridiculous. I don't find any, the Mr. Miyagi, Daniel-san, like, you got to wash cars thing. I don't think that this activity is worth my time. I think I want to go right into the hard stuff. I want to do jump kicks. I don't want to waste my time on waxing a car. And so he's just flopping around this tiny room, almost a full day goes by. He's extremely frustrated. He's losing his patience. He lost his patience hours ago, and he's angry, and I wasted my time, and what am I doing? And then finally he rolls over and sits up, and then he feels it. Like this anchor of energy running through from the top of his head down through his tailbone and just anchoring him energically into the earth, as if, there was some sort of roots holding him there. And then he goes, oh. And this is like one of the first things where what I feel is one of the most important lessons of Don Juan and many of Castaneda's books, which I find true on a different level perhaps, is that there's lots and lots of magic that happens if you just stop all the nonsense, just stop moving around, find a spot and sit there. And so this is my spot where I feel rooted. And it's not that I'm like, oh, it's never done, it's never complete, I never have what I want. This is all of what I want. I love all of this stuff for different reasons. And it's a gradual process of me putting this together. And I always am on the lookout for new pieces or new ways to enhance it. And so it's not about like a greed for stuff. Although I do admit sometimes I do have to like stop myself, because I will sometimes, like if I go to a game store and I can't find anything I want, I'll just start pacing around like looking for crap that I say, oh, maybe I need, another play mat, or maybe I need like another card deck holder, or maybe I need something for like, these rubber bands. I bought these rubber bands for $1 a piece, and I thought they were like advanced rubber. I'm not even kidding. I'm so ashamed of this, but I was like, these are advanced rubber band. I mean, they're just rubber bands. I mean, they're kind of cool, but like they're just a rubber band that's in the shape of the X. And so, yeah, I mean, I think as with all things, it's a little bit of a balancing act, and there are times when you got to kind of pull back and stuff, but you don't need to have like the absolute right stuff. There's more fun to be in the process of accruing it, and especially when you know what kind of stuff you like. And sometimes I'll envision things or setups that I want, and I don't know how to make them. I'll be like, I really want these little dice jars. And then I'll look online and I'll be like, oh, this I could buy these jars here for $31. And I'm kind of like, well, that seems ridiculous. There's jars all around me, I just got to find them. And then at my job, there's this like, I don't know if any of you have seen this, like Farm Fresh, I think it's called. It's basically a vending machine with like healthy, way overpriced stuff. And every time I like feel bad throwing away the little things that like the salads and stuff come in. And all of a sudden I was like, wait a minute, these are like perfect. Like they're like a perfect size. And so, I now have this like moment of joy whenever I get one, because I go, oh, what can I put in here? And this one is all like, well, mostly year zero, but all free league dice. And then this one, I mostly put in like figurines, and also like those little, those little gemstones. This one is more gemstones and meeples. And then this one is for whatever game I'm currently like usually GMing. So this would be Mutant Year Zero. And that brings me great joy. And I wanted to make this video for a few people who, and it wasn't just in my last video. My last video, I talked a little bit, or I mentioned, kind of, if you're just collecting and you're not playing, that's okay too. You don't have to make yourself feel bad about that, because you have to put it in perspective of like how many people collect things that cannot even ever be used or played with, right? Like you can't ever use stamps. Well, that's ridiculous. Wait a minute. You can use stamps, but like I pick a damn thing that you could definitely use. There's things that like Fabergé eggs. Okay, you can't ever like make an omelet. At least with a game book, you collect it, the mood might hit you. It's the weirdest thing when the mood hits me to play a game. I'll just be driving home from work. It happened a few weeks back with Death in Space. I just wanted to play Death in Space, and I just got fixated on it. And then I played it, and you never know when that's going to happen. But I know that it happens more often when I ease up on myself. And as long as I'm not, spending more than I can afford, being overindulgent, being reckless, I think it's good to have a hobby, and I think it's good to collect things. And I understand that not everyone's financial situation is the same thing. Especially if you're a bit younger right now, like you're just getting out of college and it's really tough out there. You're gonna have to, do some prioritizing and saving. Even for myself, I set a budget every month of how much I'm allowed to spend on it, and also when I set that budget, I don't need to spend all of that. And so, I thought I would make this video to just go through some of these things that make it feel special when I play. That's really what this is all about, is like, it makes me feel like I'm in this place that I made here. And I mean, I did. I even chose this table. And I'll give you a look at some of the things around here a little bit of behind the scenes, but I'm going to start with just giving you, sharing an image of like the whole setup, zoomed out a little bit. I think we could start from there, and then we'll go forward. All right, so this is me at my works. I'm just kidding. This is actually part. I have like an image slideshow, and I forgot to take out the old pictures from it. At one point, I was making a video about the different types of solo role players, and I never put it out because it felt like a little too mean, and it was totally joking. Like I was not, it was tongue in cheek, but it was on the line, and so it felt like a little bit mean. There, you know what? Let me try to do a 2-minute version of that video right now. Hang on, let's see if it lands. Okay, pretend that the opening just went. Hey everybody, man alone. Today we're going to talk about the different kinds of solo role players, and I know that you're one of them. So make sure that you say in the comments which one you are. Okay, first, before we say who is a solo role player, let's talk about just a few folks who definitely are not, even though they're sort of hanging around the community a little bit. So the first one has a little bit of hope. This is the Reddit guy who does not read any of the posts on Reddit and just storms into the subreddit and says, hey, guess what? I've decided to solo roleplay today. And because this is a big event in all of your lives that I decided to join your hobby, please give your recommendations below. And then the recommendations are Ironsworn, Starforge, Ironsworn, 1,000-Year-Old Vampire, Ironsworn, Starforge, indie game that no one's ever heard of, and then guy who says, why don't you read the subreddit before you ask a question, and then some people under that say, you know what, this is a person that's new to the hobby, why don't you be a little bit nice to them. 1,000-Year-Old Vampire, Ironsworn, and I also want to say Scarlet Heroes. There'll be one of those. Somebody who says they roleplay 5e, or I guess, what is it, 6e now, and so forth. And so this guy has some hope because maybe, you know what, all of us were this guy at one point. And the truth is, I'm not really mad at this guy. I just want people to read before they post, but even if they don't, it's kind of okay. See, I'm already hedging. I should stop. Okay. Yeah, look at this guy. What a nerd. But he's not as bad as the more like evolved form of this guy, or less evolved depending on how you look at it. You know that point where they say, hey, guess what? I've joined your piddly little hobby today. I bet you can't believe that me, someone who is so brilliant, has decided to lower myself to participate in this. How do you do it? I just, I'm just not understanding it so much. And then you say, well, it's really fun, and you get to create these worlds in your head, and some games are journaling games, and some games are more mechanical based, and some games are resource management, and just kind of poke your head around, see which ones you like, and see what works for you. And then they say, no, you're not explaining it right, and that's I don't get it. This hobby, it doesn't make any sense, and I've just been trying over and over again, and what I've realized is that solo role playing is just not my thing, because nobody really knows how to play it, which is not even, I'd say, as bad as the Poindexter dorks who, because they don't like it, they say, they're not satisfied to just say, I don't like this hobby. They have to say, this hobby makes no sense, or even, this is my favorite videos, I've seen a couple on YouTube, where they say, solo role-playing doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. There's no actual such thing as solo role-playing. What you're doing is you're just talking to yourself in a room, and maybe you need to get some help, because anything that I don't like and understand is obviously stupid and a waste of time, because the world is just a movie playing for me in my brain. So that's Mr. Solipsism. Okay, so now that we have those out of the way, now we get to the classic. This is 99% of you right now. This is you in, this is me, right, in mom's basement. And we could have moved out, but we needed to up. I was gonna move out, but then I needed a new keyboard here, and I needed this Tandy 1000X computer, and I needed a new monitor. And what I love about this picture the most is like, is that a dot matrix printer under him, or is that a paper shredder, or am I misseeing that altogether? Anyways, the slideshow should be over here because this is just pretty much every single one of us. I'd say a few other exceptions here. We do have the hyper mathematical Grognard. This is a person that came into solo role playing because there is no one on Earth who is capable of playing a game to the level of numerical complexity that they are, and they feel quite frustrated in any group play situations because their last straw story is something about how their character got a permanent wound because the GM refused to use Gary Gygax's spelunking rules of angle of incidence and angle of inflection regarding how you propelled down the side of a wall while you were using a mountain climbing mechanic mid-combat. And then they say, well, I just prefer to play by myself now. Similarly, people who are just tired of waiting for the next session, or they want to immerse themselves in the world, and they're like, have to play a week apart, 2 weeks apart, a month apart, and they just want more. And so maybe they solo play a little bit with their own character between sessions, or maybe they roll up a different character and play, or maybe they play a completely different game. And some of these people, they never find the game. And after a while, they stop looking. And I must say, in the age of Zoom and .iCal calendar reminders and stuff, it's very hard to find a game that lasts. I've just been part of so many groups that dissolve, and it's no one's fault even. It's just so hard. Right now, with my group, I'm trying to find some different times that work because we were meeting on a Tuesday, and it felt like I wasn't ready. Like Tuesday's too fast in the week. I'm not ready. I just got blown away by Monday, and now I'm suddenly on Tuesday and I have to GM. So I think some people they just given up, and then they've found solo play, and some of them are like, oh, I actually prefer this. This is taking longer than I wanted it to. Okay, and then here's the people that their group sucks, and they were just tired of going to groups that didn't take things seriously, or they made everything either really hard, too hard, or really easy, or every single idea presented in the game had to be litigated by contemporary standards, and eventually they just got tired of going to a group and feeling like they had to be stressed and risked like ostracization for wanting to time jump ahead 2 days or something. And so eventually they said, I quit. I don't want to be a part of it anymore. I don't really even like these people. In the words of Andre 3000, if I didn't make music with Big Boy, I wouldn't even be his friend. Oops. Sorry, we'll explain what this is too here, even though it's not really part of playing. Okay, almost done, almost done. Oh no, we are done. Okay, so those are all the types of solo role players. Let me know if I missed one in the comments, and let me know if that video would have been too mean. All right, so first things first, this is my Now rack, and NOW space RACK. This is separate from my bookshelf, and one of the ways that it helps me is that it delineates the games that I'm currently playing, or if we see the mothership below, games that are of like current focus, as I am doing the Oracle stupid or dumbest solo Oracle ever contest, which you should look down in the links. Right now, we're there's big chance to win here, folks, because there's 52 spots total, and I think right now we have about 25 submissions. So check that out in the comments. You could win the mothership core set. Anyways, this is like things that I'm currently paying attention to, currently reading, currently thinking about making a video on, currently thinking about playing or playing. And what this does is sometimes when I look at my bookshelf, like the whole thing, there's so many games there, there's so many books, there's so many options that it feels overwhelming. And this also contributes to like the pile of shame feeling. And so by getting, and this was like $30 on Amazon, it was like flat packed. I just put it together, and I love it because it looks like a magazine stand. By having this, I'm able to sort of say, well, this is what I'm doing right now. And once I'm done, I could take the thing off there, and then I'll have an open spot, and I could put something else there. Okay. Cloud Bliss, you need to follow your own bliss, because not only for recording, but also solo playing, without this thing, I would develop some sort of sciatica. This is a terrible picture, but this is under my desk where I'm standing right now. I have a little step stool that I put my foot on to the right. You can kind of see the corner of it. And then to the left, I have this ottoman that you can put stuff inside of. And like I think I have some standees there. And under that, I have my glass hex thing. I have some, what is that down in the bottom left, like D&D condition rings, folding maps, stuff like that, so that I have quick access to that. But I also have somewhere to put my feet, because I absolutely love when I'm sitting on a tall chair having somewhere to put my feet. This is the whole play area. So you can see behind my computer right here, I keep the books that I'm either using to make videos. The Electric State one, I took this while I was making the Electric State video. So they're either, oh no, I actually took this, the Electric State. The Electric State. I was like, well, wait a minute, that's right for it. Okay, so I thought I put the video. Anyways, so yes, behind me are like the Dragonbane one. I have those because of Call to the Green. I get some questions from people, and I want to be able to reference that right away. And then I just have what I consider like a spread of stuff that if I was a kid, I would feel so excited about it. Like that's what I want when I sit down at the desk. I want to have like that eye candy thing. The thing where in a movie, when it panned over as a kid, you're like, wow, I would love to be there and have all that stuff. And so, yes. And we can also see there to the right, I have my Ultra Pro card holder. That is like my new favorite thing, pens, etc. There's a little bit of a zoom out. You can see my recording area is right next to my actual bookshelf that I have a plant hanging on. To the right, I have like miniatures. And, you know, I keep this all cordoned off to this area. And that's sort of like the great compromise. I try not to let my gaming stuff fill the entire home. Here's a front view of that. And there's the under. There's my slipper. Nice. That slipper is so warm. All right, here's this guy again. Okay, so yeah, that's sort of the overview, and I wanted to point out a couple of specific things. And I don't know really what order to go in, so I think I'll go with the most basic thing, but probably the most joyful thing, which is, well, I guess we can actually start with this. And I do have to find the brand of this. It used to have a brand tag on it. Does it not have that anymore? I still have the receipt for this. Let me look. All right. I can't find it, but the brand is not important. What you look up is this is a sort of putting on a clinic for the lengths that men go to not say they're carrying a purse. This is called a men's portable tactical bag. And there's some other names that it might go by. Like, I'm just looking at some of the names here. So it's like multifunction tool and gadget storage bag. One that actually looks pretty cool is called Tactical Geek Pouch Organizer. Anyways, it's actually not the main event of the story here, because what I really like these two probably are in a category of their own of things when I am going on a trip, or especially when I'm in a doctor's office or anywhere where I know I'm going to have to be waiting. These go right in my bag. And inside here is my tiny, tiny playing cards. And these have to be repurchased a lot, because if you saw a video where I was shuffling them, they tend to get pretty bent pretty quickly. And my dice bag. We'll go over these, but the real star, the real stunner, is the Lockbee. This one is quite, it's gone through a lot here, but the Lockbee is one of my favorite things. It holds field notes, and it has spaces for pens, and you can even see here, it's like, there's just notes from lots of old games in there. I have a bunch of field notes that I slot in there. Pens can go in here, and it zips up. That's really awesome feel to it. And yeah, so those are sort of the portable ones. But let's see here. Okay, so I would say my most treasured thing is my rot ring. And if you don't know what a rot ring is, I just want to give you a second to guess in your head when I say, I love my rot ring. I'm not going anywhere without my rot ring. What do you think it is? Well, the rot ring is actually a German pen company, or pen and pencil, mostly pencil here, that has been making since 1928. And this one right here is the 600. I use 0.7 millimeters. And what is the true joy of the rot ring, and why it is my pen that I carry, like when I'm on the go, I have a rot ring and I use this at work, is it's just, first of all, it's so well made. Usually with mechanical pencils, I like bust them whenever I am writing more than 3 letters. For whatever reason, I have no idea. It could be because of the grip. It could be because of the ejector. It just tends to break a lot less. And also, it's metal. So it's heavy. And I would say if I'm going to take this on the road, which is, we'll talk about this, but it has like magnetic, the rot ring will actually like attach to that. And I just love the eraser here is under a little case, and the grip is like, what is that? Corrugated. It's metal. I actually got the box out here to see if it says, what it is made out of. Doesn't say the ingredients to it, but it's, it's essentially, there's like subreddits about, or a subreddit about rot ring. People will talk about how they have had the same rot ring for like 25 years. They're just indestructible. And when you're holding one, it's just like bliss. You just feel like you're in heaven with that. I also like these. This is definitely not rot ring quality, but these are available on Amazon. I don't know what these ones are called, but both of these together, this is my pen here and has a really fine tip to it. Both of these together represent my the joy of writing. You know, when you're like, oh, it's really late, I don't want to take a shower, even though I know I should take one before I get into bed and go to sleep. But then you're like, oh yeah, like I really love that like cloth I have, or the soap, or like you get to brush your teeth. You like the taste of it. Just these little things that could be like, all right, I'll do it. Having a nice writing implement is definitely one of those things. All right, so that's sort of the realm of the obvious. We'll take a slight step down from the obvious to go now into the also obvious, but okay. All right, a couple of tools that are not specifically solo gaming or gaming related, but I just use them a lot. And I really looked around my environment to think about this. The first thing is I keep a supply of index cards. Your like habits and tendencies towards like note taking and writing might vary from mine. I don't know if this is a universal good tip here, but I feel like there is some sort of permanence as well as disposability with index cards. I have, let me show you. So this one is actually my blank cards, but I have like several of these that I'm able to put index cards in. They're labeled and I can say like what game they're relevant to. But sometimes when I'm trying to learn a game, or when I'm GMing especially, these are like notes in process. I just find it easier to organize and manage them. And like index cards quickly become player sheets. They quickly become clues that I want to hand out to the players, etc. So in solo play, I always have like a stack of index cards when I am done with a session. Okay. Some other things. A good ruler. This one ruler to rule them all. You could kind of see some of the different things I'll do on here. Like I'll mark, short, medium, long distance in terms of ranged attacks in different games. This one I kind of hate. Well, I love it and I hate it. I love it because I always get one of these that is like able to be held from above when I'm drawing lines. This has no label on it though. And I know like obviously right there is inches, but it gets kind of confusing. Like, what is this right here? What the hell? Anyways, it's a little bit out of my league in terms of all the different measurements on there. I'm the kind of guy that's I'm pretty good with like inches, centimeters, millimeters, but having a nice ruler, I'm always grabbing this to set up player sheets, to measure things. So that's definitely in my playing area at all times, as is the blade. This is probably something that gets used at least every week. I just used it a few days ago to trim the edges of the Pendragon Britannia, or Britain as it was in the time of Arthur map, because I'm like trying to fit it to cardboard. I'm also trying to glue it, and I figured out that I need wood glue. So that is on the way, because there's a reason there's different glues, it turns out. These are CZYY clear plastic hexes. I thought they would be more useful than they are. They are not good for video because they have an intense glare. They seem to fit nowhere. There's two of them that come in a case. So I suppose one day I'll find a use for them. But this right here, the X-Acto knife, um, I don't know why, but it is just, I'm using it all the time. And I really am having a hard time, like, even thinking about all the situations that I use it for. But um, if you're a card boy, such as myself, and you're using different cards and you're trying to create different maps, and sometimes I like to collage different resources. So I'll have like a bunch of tables that I printed out, and I'll be like, why do I have these on separate sheets? And I'll X-Acto them onto one. This has been mentioned a bunch of times. So obviously, this right here is by Tabletop Engineer. You can see, I believe I always have this linked in my video notes, but yeah, this is incredible. The turnaround, the price, the customization. I encourage you to check this out. This is this is so incredible, and it's just so special. Like, it's just, to me, you got this little place you can put your cards, you can have your dice. I actually want to try to get one made for Pendragon specifically, since I'm doing that campaign right now. But it's made for 2d6 dungeon, but it works with almost everything, especially with like slots for the cards and the dice and everything. This is a more recent purchase, but probably one of my favorites. It actually is this place back here where I put this little IKEA pencil. It's actually supposed to hold your phone, which is pretty cool. If you're solo playing and, obviously I want to disconnect from things, but I occasionally use my phone to look up things in Wikipedia. Some games have really good phone apps, like Mothership has a really, really good phone app, so I might put it in there. But mostly, I like it because it is, for the space on my desk, it is a little dice rolling dice tray here that's pretty quick, and it just has a nice feel to it. And again, I think you can get this on Amazon for like $20. It's magnetized. It's kind of faux leather. Really, really nice. I have a million notebooks, so I chose this one with my failed picture of Abaddon the Despoiler on it. And anything that's like the dot paper, what do you call this? I want to call it a dot matrix. I guess that's what it is. But I also have hex notebooks. There's some really good hex notebooks out there that are like alternate by the page. So they'll have like pages with lines, pages with hexes, pages with squares. It's always good from a playing standpoint, but also a creativity standpoint, to just always have like a lot of notebooks around. And then I would say, let me just see, rubber bands, definitely. As far as I'm trying to wrap up all these sort of household implements. Oh, okay. Stapler, yes. Paper clips, yes. Binder clips, absolutely. And these ones are a little bit weirder, but I mentioned this in a video earlier this week. A label maker is the most fun you can have with your pants on. I don't know why I said that, but I said it in that video. I'll say it again. When you find something that you could use a label maker for, it's like the best time of the year. You're like, yes, I know exactly what that needs right there. That needs a label. When you first get a label maker, though, I want to warn you, you're going to feel too powerful. You're going to start labeling everything, especially if you have the labels like this one, the Dymo one, where they're like stickers. You're going to be labeling like your son. Your son is now going to be labeled. And the last one here is a hot glue gun. Especially if you do anything with miniatures. I don't know how I went through so much of my life without a hot glue gun. There's like just little projects that come up, little optimizations that you can always do with all of the little, we're dealing with very delicate things all the time here. Things that have very small parts to them that are some of them are a bit cheap, and it's the kind of thing that you don't want to keep buying over and over again. And so I'm struggling to say exactly why right now, but again, it's just like things that I just find myself using often while solo playing. Okay, so now more in the realm of play itself, or things that maybe you'd find at a game store. Dice cup, dice trays, obviously, really nice. Finding cups and trays that you love, that you like looking at them, you like the feel of them. This one was really important to have. It has a lid, and so usually you'll see it on camera like holding these figurines, or miniatures. But again, whenever I'm taking this somewhere or going even to another room to play or something, a bunch of whatever dice I need go in there. The lid goes on, they go with me, and the lid becomes like a little bit of a tray. And I am somebody who loves having the right case. So this is probably my favorite case of all. This is the Ultra Pro, and that is like the brand. And that's when we started the Pendragon campaign. This one has a very, very nice feel to it, and it includes all of my solo cards. And we'll get to those, but just I feel the need to keep reminding about the video here is about things that I use often and that make playing feel like a special experience. You do not need these things. Some of these things will not work for you. They work for me. But these are just some ideas. Obviously, tarot cards. I use those in videos. I had a surprising amount of people in the comments who told me to throw them in a fire and burn them because they're evil, folks. The cards are not evil. They're cardboard. If you're looking for sources of evil, there are far more pressing sources than tarot cards. Okay. Now, as far as like, if you were to get like the best pound for pound solo tools, solo specific tools, you really cannot go wrong with the Fate Mill, which has its own lighting source. And truly, I think the lineup from Tower House Creative, I hate to be a shill. This is not a paid advertisement. But you really can't go wrong with the Fate Mill, the Newell dice, which are different icons to roll up, and there's like a reference, and it can say what NPC conversations are, what dispositions are, etc. The Dyadic D20, I honestly have no idea why I love these so much. They're just classic D20s that have D10 listed twice. But the card that comes with them, it just feels, it is kind of ridiculous. I mean, I have all these dice in front of me, but there's something that really feels sneaky and special about being able to like use just 2 dice for so many different options. A lot of you, especially more mathematically inclined, probably won't need this, but just knowing D20, D2, D10, D100 or percentile dice, and you use the sort of, if it's outline or solid, and I use like one of them if I'm rolling 2 D20s at the same time or comparing them, it just feels really nice. But I would say especially the Newell dice and the Fate Mill here, which is obviously like an Oracle response for solo games. Another one is this D4 shape is one of the best things that ever happened to me. If you're new to the hobby, D4s are the devil. They are actually something you should throw in the fire, these ones. They're really nice. To call them rolling is very generous. They more plop. And so having a D4 with some action and some shape, is it perfectly weighted and balanced? I don't know. Looks like it is, but even if it's not, who cares? I usually use, somebody told me, I think these are called scatter dice for whenever you have something that needs to have a direction to it. And then I cannot say where I got this, unfortunately, and there's actually two pieces to it. But the last one is, if you don't even want to carry a deck of cards with you, is the deck dice, which will bring up every combination other than, I think, jokers in a 52 card deck. Obviously, it's imperfect, right? Because you can roll 7 aces in a row, technically, which are not going to be in the deck. But when you don't care about that, you know, if you're using a source that's a constantly reshuffling deck, hypothetically, that is a great thing to have on hand. You never know when deck of cards options are going to pop up in books. Recently, I was playing the One Ring Strider mode, I believe, was it? Yeah, it was, or maybe it was some Free League solo module, and it had something where you just draw playing cards, you know, and I really have grown to like that system. I really, really hated it for some, like I really wanted to roll dice. I don't know why, but I found that playing cards and dice together are excellent complements to each other. The Game Master's Apprentice deck. This is the standard one. You could probably do a 25-year campaign where you never have the same topic twice, just using all the combinations of odds, dice rolls, thematic, operative words, belongings, catalyst, location, names, virtues, vices. Excellent source. There's even like little runes and symbols in the top right-hand corner. Recently, I got the sci-fi one. There are a bunch of these. There's a bunch of these for different. I think there's a cyberpunk one, all kinds of stuff. And then also the Delve deck, which generates different dungeons on the fly. Also wonderful for solo play. And I just have them divided up here with these little card dividers inside the Ultra Pro. Okay. And yeah, that though right there, I would say those are really, you know, if it was just you, me, and the wall, I would say really those dice and those cards. Of course, I'm gonna collect other solo tools, solo implements throughout my life. I just love that kind of stuff. I love the ideas of it. I love the appeal of it. But between you, me, and the wall, if you have those, you really don't need much else. You really don't. You know, there are $50 solo toolkits and stuff like that that you could buy. And in a lot of ways, if you have that deck and those dice, you're pretty much on your way. Let's just say that. You're on your way, and maybe you've even reached the destination. Okay. So, other than that, I know that the video is nearing an hour, and you have to go pick up the soup. I know that you're all having soup for dinner tonight. I will say that the last thing that I want to show, and probably the most important thing, is not Gene Hackman, although those are very cool. I bought these blank standees from something. I don't know. They're just put in blank standees, and you'll find a bunch of them. You can get a pack of them for like $15. Tabs, book tabs to mark pages, and bookmarks. And if you're lucky, you'll even find some bookmarks out there, such as the one that Toby Lancaster does with 2D20, that are bookmarks with gameplay mechanics on them, for example. This is the representation of unabashed geekness, and sometimes you just can't care. But right here is my new Pendragon bookmark, which is laser cut wood of Excalibur, and it still smells like burnt wood because the laser singed it so fine. Get whatever you want, whatever you can afford, but make sure that you're using it to enhance your experience and make it feel more special when you do sit down. Don't make it the thing that you need in order to sit down. Think of it as an ongoing process and building a special space for yourself. It is very weird what people choose to criticize, what people choose to say, oh, who has money for that? And then you can see the things that people waste money on. I don't think that there is anyone who. There are people that are in like solitary confinement right now who are whittling rocks. We need things that are ours. We need things that feel like that they have our fingerprints on them. They are of us. And if you really hit the jackpot, there are certain things that, and these are perhaps the most special things of all, they are pieces of your setup that are not from you, they are for you. And this will probably be the most special piece of anything I have here because it was a gift from my future wife, BB, who had this made for me very, very early when I started this channel because she believes in me so much. And on the inside of it is a message, and I open that and I read that before I record. Sometimes I have it open when I record. That is the most important ingredient of all to solo play, is having people who support your creativity even if they don't understand it. And so maybe you can forward this to somebody who loves you, and I know everyone watching has somebody who loves you, because that's a real test of, to me, love is when somebody supports something that not only it's not their cup of tea, but they don't even really get it. That's when when you have all. That's when you have everything you need to play. So don't skimp out on me. Let me know in the comments what are some of the must-have things that you play with. Let me know the things that you wish you had, that you're waiting on, and anything that I've showed that you think is stupid. Let me know. I didn't really have to ask for that last part because I know somebody would say it anyways. What a terrible way to end an episode, but I'm tired. And at this point, I think you're tired of me as well. But there's 49 seconds left till an hour exactly for the video. So could we just sit? I know that there's other videos to watch, but it would mean a lot to me if we had a perfectly 1 hour video. How have you been? Geez, I've been talking this whole time and I didn't even ask you how you've been. Pretty rude. No kidding. Really? That's too bad. Well, that's a bright spot. No. Oh my gosh. Well, I want to hear more about this, but I do have to go.